What I wanted to talk about is Daisuke Ishiwatari interview that happened recently with 4Gamer. Giuna translated it and put it on his blog. If you guys want to check it out, go ahead and head over to the link below in the description where you can find this and other articles that he translated in the past too. But there's some points from this article that I wanted to talk about because they kind of stood out to me. Something that he said that I liked, kind of resonated with me, was the fact that he said he was willing to free himself from previous conventions to pursue something new through the game. I like the idea of him kind of likening himself to like a levee or a seawall that kind of keeps out bad ideas from the development process. I like that he takes that kind of ownership over his creation like that. I think that's pretty cool. He said something else that I thought was pretty interesting. I'm not sure how genuine this is. So he says he's not necessarily done with Xrd series. I'll put it this way, man. If he gives me a Rev 3, I'm happy as can be, man. Because my thing is, I don't necessarily need a world tour or any of that other stuff, man. If I have one other person to play with, I'm good. And one reason why I think this is because, in my opinion, I don't think Xrd is, I don't think it's where it could be. I don't think it's maxed out yet. I recognize that like it wouldn't be big for sales or gaining a new player base or anything like that. Selfishly, I would be super cool with that, and I really hope they do it. That would be sick. Things that he said about the Roman cancel system, and he implies that like it's not just about narrowing down the system, right? It's about increasing utility for some systems in the game. I like increasing utility of mechanics. I think that's pretty cool. However, I strongly disagree with the sentiment that he felt that the previous games or the previous systems were too free. I strongly disagree with that. I don't like that. That whole mentality behind it is off-putting to me. Something that he mentions is like about appearance for the characters in terms of their redesigns. He mentions that he wanted more global appearances, or like he wanted designs that would appeal to a more global audience, right? My thing is like, have they not had appealing enough designs so far? What I would assume it means is they just age up May, right? Because the lolly stuff obviously doesn't fly in most countries in the world. Outside of that, like, what does that mean? I don't know what that means. Have the designs not been appealing so far? I think they have been. I'm biased, obviously, but it just seemed like a weird thing to say. The thing that stood out to me was when he was talking about air battles in Guilty Gear, and I don't like the idea that he says, you know, air battles in general are complicated, so we'll cut it. I don't agree with that sentiment. To me, again, one of the hallmarks of the game, something that's really cool about it, is that you can fly. You can literally just jump, double jump. You have battles and footsies on the ground, but then you also have that applied to the air as well. And I think that was something that was always interesting about the game. That was something that was fun. It's weird to me for you to look at that and say, like, it's too difficult. Let's cut it. On that same token, right, their decision making behind making the Gatling system a lot more strict. He said, he felt that the system before was a little bit too free. It's difficult for new players to get in and then know what is their best string for a given opportunity. Part of the fun with that is learning what your best strings are for certain situations. It's weird to me that you would think that giving players the freedom to experiment is bad. Of course, we go from that point to the now famous Shogi and Mahjong discussion, right? Where he essentially says like GG is chess or it's Shogi, where the stronger player with high level of consistency will almost always beat a quote-unquote weaker player, right? He wants the game to be more like Mahjong, where if you're able to make a couple good reads here, you have some resources backing you up, you can make the run. GG is already Mahjong, man. Like that's crazy to me, because has he never watched his own game? Right? You watch some of these Leo players with full meter. You watch a Pot with full meter, Sin with full meter in the corner. You're gonna tell me that doesn't already happen? The better player definitely does not always win in GG. You know this, I know this. We watch it all the time. It's weird for me to hear the creator talk about his own creation that way, when in a way that's like not reflective of the truth. The last thing that I didn't really like was the whole esports discussion. He's not sure if tournaments are enough to get people into watching the game. To which I just think is, I have to just say, out of touch. It seems like very, very out of touch to me, because he's been to Evo. Has he never watched a stream? There's hundreds of thousands of people that watch some of these events. Not all of them play, all these games super hard like that. It's obvious that people do like watching that. In general, I thought the article had a lot of parallels to early discussions that were had with Xrd. On one hand, I do kind of have to check myself. This is a new series, right? So it's going to start from a more basic level, and they can always add more mechanics, add more systems, and develop the gameplay from there in future revisions, right? The nuance to me, this feels a little bit different. I don't like the way that they speak positively about current trends in fighting games, because quite honestly, most of the people that play fighting games right now hate the current trend. Rather than focusing on making the game easier, I want them to be able to focus on rollback net play. I want more net play modes. I want more beginner modes, better tutorials, challenges. If they can be updated, even weekly, I think that'd be pretty cool stuff. Trials. I think there's more stuff that they could be doing to bolster the packages of their games. And from there, I want them to improve the ecosystem of the game. In order to do that, one weakness that they have to address right off the bat is that the Guilty Gear IP is weak. They don't promote it. They don't advertise it. They don't market it. The game doesn't sell. The name isn't powerful. In the scope of modern gaming, I mean, nobody knows what the hell Guilty Gear is. The studio up until now, I feel like Arc System Works is just not had a lot of Western-focused marketing and advertising strategies to be able to try to bolster, again, the presence of their IP. So Fudo he does these streams in Red Bull Nakano Game Sphere, where on Thursdays he'll sit down with complete newcomers to Street Fighter, and they come in, some of them don't even know how to jump. Like, let's take, for example, the girl who didn't know how to jump, and Fudo is sitting on stream with her trying to teach her for 20 minutes how to just hit up. It's not like call her stupid or anything, it's just like, that's how entry-level she is. Do you think that girl went into the venue with the thought of, I like this game and I'm interested in this game because it's simple? No. At that level, she doesn't even know how simple the game or hard the game is. What got her through the door, I think, has a lot to do with maybe word of mouth, but also maybe perceived value of playing the game due to competitive stages, offline gatherings, streams, media content for it, being advertised, being marketed. Through that, there's a certain value established there, where she thinks, hey, maybe I want to play this game, It seems pretty cool. It seems like a lot of people are interested. Arc does not really bother seriously pursuing or even trying to do with their own IPs. And you can't wonder why the game doesn't sell when you do not promote it. In 2019, you have to promote the game. In the end, Daisuke makes his games, right? And he's by no means obligated to make a game for you or for me. Whether in the end, whether it's for me or not, that's one thing. I think that with the philosophies that they're pursuing, I think the product that they want to create ignores a lot of the greater issues that they have with their games. But I support him in his quest of creation. I've enjoyed what he's created up until now. You gotta at least be able to be willing to try it, If it's not for you after that, and for me, it might not be for me, right? I'm cool. I play other games. There's at least 2 or 3 other games out right now that I'm cool to play. It's not a big deal. But that was what I thought about this article in particular. The next one I want to talk about is this one. This is the US Gamer one that dropped. There actually isn't that much to this article in particular, but the things that stood out to me are this discussion of the tutorial and the mission mode from Xrd. He said that they're probably going to trim it down or cut it in favor of making a single player mode that intends to, I guess, kind of like gamify the tutorial. I think that that's really cool. I think that that's probably the next level, the next step, the evolution of the challenge and mission mode that we're familiar with, right, from several other games. Even when you have the discussion of like tutorials and challenges to be able to try to train you, what we should be aiming for is a way to make that engaging. That's what's really going to sell. While for you and I, right, we might play competitively, we might be down to just sit in this one mode and just drill this one thing 5-6 times in a row, right? Normal players, normal people who don't know about this kind of stuff probably aren't going to be down for that. So you have to kind of disguise it, right? You have to kind of mask the learning process with them. The other thing that stood out to me was, and this is kind of bad, but the UI discussion. Here he says, like, the UI changed a lot. What do you hope to accomplish with these changes? How much is placeholder? Which parts do you feel are crucial to the new look? They're still in development and placeholder. However, the general concept has been implemented and tested in current appearance. That UI is greasy. It looks really nasty. I hope that isn't true. But the questions that he's asking in the interview to himself, right? We asked ourselves questions like, does the battle screen have too much information? I think maybe it could. But this one, are we not giving enough information about each character on the character selection screen? This looks like a mobile game. Like, this looks nasty. I don't know about that one, man. I hope that they reconsider their points on that one. Something that he talked about was lessons that they learned from Dragon Ball, lessons that they learned from BB Tag, and this was one of the lessons that I was hoping that they would take away, and that's promotion of the game. I don't know why it took Dragon Ball and BB Tag for them to realize, oh wow, we actually have to promote and market our games in order to you know, show them to people. I don't know why it took that long for them to come to that conclusion, but yeah, you might actually have to market your stuff. I want Teppen, KOF All-Star style marketing campaign. I want Maximilian, Sajam on the payroll. I want Justin Wong on payroll. Put Ninja, Shroud. Who else? Who just went the... Everybody that's on Mixer, fuck them. I don't want nowhere near the shit. Get Dr. Disrespect on there. I want everybody on the payroll shilling Guilty Gear. That's what I want to see. Because they have not done any of that kind of shit. And I think their games are dead. Can we... Bro, when is the Pokimane Majin Obama exhibition? Can we get a Pokimane Majin Obama 1st to 7th? I think a lot of the decision making and a lot of the philosophy behind some of their decisions, there's kind of a strong sense of tone deafness to me. And that's just me being honest. With the North American office, they have English speakers in the office, they have access to Twitter. I don't see how some of them can come to some of these conclusions. For that reason, I think that you have to kind of make one point clear. You know, on this channel, Giuna has been talking a lot about saving Guilty Gear Strive. Let's put this out there. You cannot save GG Strive. The reason being, the direction of the game is their intent. Despite whatever feedback you say you want, it's not going to convince them to remake the game from scratch. This is what they are going to pursue. You can't save this shit. You're either about it or you're not. Or you can just wait and give it a try when it comes out. Furthermore, something that I want to touch on is discourse. This is something that was going on a couple weeks ago. I'm going to be honest with you. I think y'all are super whack. I think the whole scene just looks whack as shit right now. The fact that people's reactions and stances are so entrenched, people are jumping to conclusions, talking out of their asses. They're trying so hard to box people's opinions into one of two boxes. I think it's whack for people to be like, yo, shut up and just wait for the game. That doesn't really work. You can talk about it. You can be critical. You can say that. That's fine. And this is part of the problem. Fighting game players are shitty consumers. You can't tell other consumers to stop expressing themselves about a product, just shut up, get hype, consume product, and wait for next product. You can't do that. Likewise, people not sharing the same values that you do on what a game should be or shouldn't be doesn't make them, you know, internet terrorists or quote-unquote shills. Stop trying to force this, like, again, that false dichotomy, this two-party system where if you don't think one way, you think the other. The real world doesn't work that way, dude. That's not how it works. I make my own opinions about how I feel about these games, and I'm willing to seek my own truth and express myself. I refuse to be a tool for whatever narrative you want to push. You don't get to dictate how I feel about something. That's for me to do. Likewise, I encourage you to think for yourself. Be a person. Be a human being. And before we go on, I know how hard that is for some people, especially this next group that I want to address. And you know, whether you're from North America, EU, Asia, Latin America, Timbuktu, if you play May in Guilty Gear, you are a troglodyte, a subhuman, a homunculus. You are the 18th angel. You only share 99.6% of DNA with other human beings. You realize you're not like me, but I'm fine with that. I don't fear you, but you're being an asshole, right? So that whole entrenching people into this like us versus them narrative you crafted, you're part of the problem. Talk to me and let me know how you guys feel about all these interviews. Let me know what y'all think in the comments below, man. Talk to me.